3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And you may already be listening to today's episode on our brand new Caffeine for the Soul app. But if you're not, you can download the app at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And you can not only listen to years of these Caffeine for the Soul podcasts, but you'll also be able to take our free basic course. And there's a whole host of other free content available. And we're adding more by the week. I went to a talk the last time I was in London by my friend Dr. Robert Holden. And he was talking about his new book on purpose, which is a beautiful book where he explores purpose at various levels. And he shared something almost in passing, which was something that his wife talked about. And they called it the Holy Church of Noticing. And I loved that expression. But what I'm going to share with you is what that expression means to me. Now, I'm sure it's aligned with what it means to them, but this is how I see the Holy Church of Noticing, because I just thought it was a beautiful way of talking about something that is a beautiful part of the principle of consciousness. So those of you who are regular listeners will know I talk about three principles. I talk about the principle of thought, which is the creative force, the principle of mind, which is the intelligence and energy of life, and consciousness, which is the capacity that is built into all of us of awareness. And the way that that capacity of consciousness shows up is in noticing. It allows us to notice. And in that sense, it really is a kind of a superpower. And if that sounds a bit extreme, think about what it costs us to not notice. Have you ever not noticed a leak until it became a minor flood and did damage? Have you ever not noticed that somebody you worked with or somebody you lived with was growing increasingly unhappy until they'd grown so unhappy that they no longer wanted to work or live with you? Have you ever not noticed a pain or discomfort in your body until it got so pronounced that you finally noticed and went to the doctor and discovered you had a much bigger illness than you might have had you noticed it earlier? That's what happens when we don't notice. But similarly, the more we do notice, the more we catch things when they're easy to manage instead of difficult. One of my favorite stories from the book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, is Dan Millman is an Olympic gymnast, and he's being mentored by an old, grizzled in the description, garage attendant, like a gas station attendant named Socrates. Nick Nolte played him in the movie. And there's this point in the book where Socrates challenges Dan to a feat of true power and, offers Dan the chance to go first. And Dan's, this young, fit guy, and he's looking at this old, not totally unfit, but this much older guy. And he goes, okay, I'm not going to show off too much, but I'll just do 10 one-handed handstand push-ups. So he flips down, does 10 one-armed handstand push-ups, and jumps back up, not even winded, and goes, your turn. And Socrates looks at him, kind of shakes his head, goes to the bathroom, fills a small glass with tap water, and drinks it down. And Dan's watching this, and he goes, "Oh, I went too far. I should have just done like one-armed push-ups or something, but without the handstand." And he said, "Hey, don't worry about it, Sock. I bet in your day you were really strong. And I mean, look, I'm an Olympic athlete." And Socrates just looks at him funny and goes, "Oh wait, do you think you won?" And Dan goes, "Well, yeah. I mean, I did 10 one-armed handstand push-ups. What did you do?" And Socrates said, "I noticed that there was a small buildup in my kidneys that would have become a kidney stone in about a month if I hadn't done anything about it. So I flushed it out with water. So while noticing is a superpower that they're unlikely to make movies about, it is a superpower that we all have. Your ability to notice, which is already built into you, is what leads to discernment. It's what lets you know when to talk and when to hold your tongue. It's what lets you read a room. It's what lets you know when your thinking can be trusted and when your thinking should not be trusted. And it's what leads to effortless change in our lives. One of the most profound things I have learned for myself is that you do not have to break habits through repetition and practice. That if you really see that there's something that you do that doesn't work for you, there's a way of thinking, there's a way of speaking, there's a way of doing that doesn't work for you, but it's habitual, so you do it. When you get really clear that you don't want to do that anymore, each time you notice yourself beginning to do it, it's like a weakening of a link in a chain. It's like the ashes beginning to go out in a fire. And that noticing in and of itself leads to change. If you're physically sitting in an uncomfortable position and you notice your body is uncomfortable, you'll just move. If you start to notice that you're not feeling good about things, that you're unhappy in some way, that you're uncomfortable in some way, if you notice it and you understand what it's telling you is, that's the habit of thought that you're in right now, then without having to put in new thoughts or do 30 days or 45 days or 90 days of reprogramming, you'll immediately, in the same way as shifting in your seat, you'll just back off your thinking a bit. And when you back off your thinking, new thought comes along. And when new thought comes along, it always comes with new feeling. And what follows it is a new way of being in the world. So, what are you noticing in your holy church of noticing at the moment? And if the first thing you notice is, wow, I'm not sure I'm noticing anything, then take some time this week just to notice. Don't even worry about what to notice. Just notice what you notice. And watch how things start to get better, seemingly all by themselves. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.